everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Araceli and this is Style by Ara. I post 2 videos every week, and today's video is on how I budget as a 22-year-old living in the Bay Area. So I'm going to start with a short disclaimer. Money is a heavy topic for most, and every person has a different goal and every person has a different budget in mind. And we all vary in our income, our family responsibilities, our state, our city, if we're single, if we're married, our overall stage in life. A 14-year-old is probably living different lifestyle than I am, so please keep that in mind as you watch this video, and I'm by no means an expert. Now, a few notes as well before we dive into the topic, a little backstory on me and why I wanted to make this video. So it's important to be aware of finances, and it's important to be aware of financial freedom and how to manage your money and what that will look like for you. So you must take charge of your financial situation. Avoid playing the victim in the story. Yes, things happen, and yes, things suck. You may have the worst of luck. Trust me, I've been there. But it's important to look at the things you can control, and it's important to feel like you are in the driver's seat, and it will motivate you to find solutions to your existing financial situation. So again, I'm by no means an expert. This is all speaking from experience. So now a little more personal, I'm going to be very honest here on my background. I come from a low-income household where money was a topic that we discussed probably every day, and my family lived paycheck to paycheck. I started my first real job when I was 15 years old, working as a cashier and then an apparel sales employee at a store similar to that of Target or Walmart. And I grew up in a wealthy town, and from that came a lot of financial insecurities. I had a not so pretty car, and I definitely remember getting picked on for that. And it has taken me so many years to get over that insecurity of not growing up in a wealthy family and recognizing the beauty in my experience and the pride that I have for my parents' sacrifices along the way. That being said, I am now extremely grateful for my family, and I am proud of my journey, and I'm now embracing all those little things that I was so insecure about growing up. And I definitely regret letting it take 18 plus years to recognize this because of the social pressures. For example, I remember not being able to buy American Eagle jeans growing up, and that was a luxury that I felt was out of my reach. And when I started working in high school, I remember that that was one of the first things I ever bought myself, were some American Eagle jeans. Yes, for a high school teen, jeans were definitely a financial goal for me. And that started to shape how I spent my money and how I viewed money. And my family has never ever made money define success, and I never want to let it define success either. Money is a good thing until you let it define you. So when people make assumptions about my compensation as an engineer in Silicon Valley, I kind of just shrug it off, because the point isn't that I'm considered successful because of my salary. Again, please keep that in mind as you go through your financial portfolio. Never let money control you. Always be taking the lead, and never let money be the most valuable thing in your life. I am 22 years old now, working for a big tech company, living in the Bay Area. But before this, I was a college student working 3 to 4 jobs while working towards 2 separate degrees. And before that, I was a teen working a minimum of 25 to 30 hours a week. So this wasn't handed to me by any means. I have fought my way here, and I hope that you fight your way to your financial goals as well. So, all right, now let's begin to the actual video. So, budget basics. There are 3 common routes that you can take towards budgeting. And you can definitely mix and match these, but these are the 3 that I came up with. One of them is using Mint and other apps to track all your expenses. So you put your card information, and I don't really trust these myself. Like, they're probably secure, but I personally do not use these. And I find that they tend to not be very accurate. So the filters are not so good in the categories that you place. So let's say you have one for clothing and shoes, and something from home decor gets mixed up in that category, then your categories are probably going to be not so transparent as you would hope. Now, the second one is a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. I love organizing things in a spreadsheet. It literally makes life so much easier for me. And I find that they are the most eye-opening because you can definitely see the breakdown. You can see that little things do add up. And the third one is pen and paper, old school journal. Now, you can have a pocket journal that you carry with you. So whenever you make a purchase, you can write down what you bought, how much it was, and keep track that way. Those are the 3 that I came up with. There's probably more, but I think those are the main 3. Now, what does budgeting mean? I think this is very, very personal to every person, and I can't say that my definition of budgeting is the same as yours. So for me, it does not mean cutting costs left and right. That's not how I like to view budgeting. That's not how I like to view my spending. Okay, so how to start? Start with your own categories. So these can be anything from utilities, your rent, your gym membership, which could go into wellness. It could be essentials like groceries. It could be personal shopping, restaurants, coffee, drinks like alcohol, and pet supplies, entertainment. Literally, the list goes on. You can have so many categories. Again, this is going to depend on you and what you want to monitor. With that being said, you want to look at what changes and what stays the same. So things like rent, utilities, those are going to be very consistent. I mean, some utilities may not, some may vary, like water usage, but you want to make sure that you are monitoring the things that do change, such as your personal spending. And I know this is something that most of us do not want to confront. We don't want to see where our money is actually going every month. But I think it's very important to do this. It's nice to see where your money is going. There is one thing that you definitely want to do at the beginning of your financial journey, your budgeting. You want to make sure that you are investing in yourself. And what I mean by that is saving towards your future. So you don't want to spend your entire paycheck if you can avoid it, and you should definitely be saving whatever you have left over into a separate account that you don't even touch, you don't see it on a day-to-day basis. And another thing is 401k. That's a very common thing that people use to save towards their retirement, and it's key to your financial security. So a lot of corporate jobs especially will match your contribution to your 401k. So for example, if your employer is saying that they match 6%, then you want to make sure that you max that 6%. And what that means is that if they're contributing 6%, you want to make sure that you can contribute 6% so that it's a total of 12%. I hope that's clear. So I think investing in yourself is something that I hear from a lot of experienced people in this, a lot of adults who have reached an age where they're like, dang, I wish I started as soon as I could. So I've started to save as soon as I was able to, and I know I'm only 22 years old and retirement is far away, but it's nice to start early rather than later. All right, tracking your expenses. That could be anything from monitoring your expenses monthly, weekly, daily, yearly. Honestly, it's up to you. So if you want to get extreme, you can look at everyday spending and you can monitor it every single day. Whenever you go out and spend money or you do an online purchase, you mark it down on your budgeting method. One method that I encourage those who are starting their budget journey is to have a once a week sit down. So that could be every Sunday and you look at your entire week's worth of spending. And I think that's really nice to see, just to be able to reflect and then kind of plan for the week ahead. So I find that especially if you get paid bi-weekly, this is a really cool way to make sure that you control that paycheck for those 2 weeks. I know I said that budgeting for me is not cutting costs left and right, but when you're budgeting at the beginning, you can definitely look at what areas of your life can you cut down costs. So like for me, I definitely enjoy going out every once in a while and grabbing really good food that I don't have to make myself. And I probably don't have to do that every day, so I could cut down costs in that regard. If you're starting out and seeing that you're spending more than you wish you were, you could honestly do it daily, and that will kind of encourage you to keep up with your budgeting goals, because you will see every day like, oh my goodness, I spent $90 going to Home Goods when I could have done something else with that money. Another pro tip is look at what card you are charging it on. So one of my favorite things to do is use a credit card that has rewards or benefits to my spending. And that is really nice because I use that credit card and then it builds up points, which turn into cash back. And it's from anything like going to Target, getting gas, groceries, and there's no annual fee for the card I have. That's definitely something that I look for. And low interest for like a late payment, just in case. I want to make sure that I don't have high interest on my credit card. And I only tend to use one. So I know it's very enticing to be able to use or to be able to sign up for multiple credit cards, just because maybe you've heard that that builds your credit score, but that's not how it works. So you want to make sure that you're not signing up for cards such as Victoria's Secret or Gap or Old Navy, stuff like that, where you don't tend to spend money there and you're not really getting any benefit from it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you should be using a credit card that has rewards to it. And that's definitely one of my favorite tricks, because then I not only get to pay that payment off monthly or whatever rate I want, I can also get cash back for my spending, which is super nice. Free money. Always try to find ways to have free money. And you want to make sure that while you are monitoring your expenses, you are avoiding debt, because you want to aim to spend on your credit cards only what you can afford to pay off every month or every bill cycle. You do not want to spend more than you have. And I know it's easy to be able to just swipe for something expensive and be like, oh, I can pay that later. It's fine. It's like, I have a long time to pay it off. You don't want to have that mentality, because that will affect your credit score. And I'll probably do a separate video on how to maximize your credit score opportunities out there, but that's just too much information for this video. You want to also make sure that you avoid that I get paid next week, so it's okay mentality, because I know I've used that in the past for personal shopping, and I know I hated myself the next week when I would like monitor my my cards, and that was just, it was so disappointing to see that, because you want to make sure that you are not spending outside of your budget, and that's the whole point of budgeting. You don't want to make excuses for yourself. Now, grand total. add up your total spending. So look at your abnormalities and what you spent the most on. If you're doing by categories, this is a great way to see which category had the most. Maybe you're going out to eat too much. Maybe you're spending too much on entertainment when you could be prioritizing something else. You always want to make sure that you are mindful of your spending. You always want to make sure that you are asking yourself, do you need it, or is it just an in-the-moment type of splurge? And another tip that I like to do is I try to live like I am making less. So even though I may be having a higher income than my budget is allotting me to spend for, I like to save right away. As soon as I get paid, I like to set aside a certain amount of my income towards just saving for my future self, or saving for that 4 to 6 month emergency fund that I recommend everyone strives to save for, because again, something like a pandemic could happen like we're living in right now, and you're always going to be thankful and you're never going to regret saving your money. While you are tracking your income, you should also be looking at your pay stubs and analyzing every single detail on that pay stub. Especially if you're hourly, you want to make sure your hours are correct. And honestly, this is a really good habit to have, because mistakes do happen and you want to make sure that you catch them as soon as they happen, and not like 8 months later and then it's harder to correct the mistake. And I know a lot of us are students, or we have graduated, and now it's the topic of loans. You want to make sure that your loan payments are one of the highest things on your budgeting list of necessities. You want to make sure that you pay the loans with the highest interest rate first, like unsubsidized loans, because in the long run, those are going to affect your total balance more than the ones with no interest. So definitely keep track of your loans. I'm going to provide a spreadsheet down below that has 3 different templates for you guys to be able to use if you would like, and it's very straightforward. One option is a more generic budget sheet template. The second option is going to be a lot more specific in categories and items. And again, these are just options that you can have, but you can always add more categories or more lists depending on your situation. And then the third template on there is going to be on loans and how to monitor your loans. And these are just 3 template ideas that I've used in the past and that have been effective. So feel free to download that Google Sheet, and hopefully they're helpful for you. I also wanted to mention that in the spreadsheet template options that I have listed in the description box, that on the first option there is a mine and theirs column, because I like to track my expenses with my boyfriend who I live with, and we like to sit down together and go through it all, because we do divide up certain things like rent and utilities and necessities that we both use. So that's definitely a helpful thing for you guys who may be living with someone else, even a roommate. It doesn't have to be a significant other, but I think it's helpful to sit down and budget with your roommate or significant other, so that you guys can both be on the same page about how you're dividing things up and have it all be very clear. So that's something that is going to be available on the spreadsheet that I'm listing. Now, budgeting for me isn't about just not spending anything. I've kind of said that earlier in this video, because I still like to treat myself and I like to treat those who I love. In my budget, I also make a percentage of my income towards donations. I think it's tithing if you're religious. That's probably what you call it in like a church setting. I think having room for budget in your budget for other things than just like the necessities, if you can have it, have something that also makes you happy, whether that's donating, whether that's spending for yourself, spending for your family and friends. anything that you can fit in your budget. I definitely think that you should not go cold turkey and cut out every single thing that isn't a necessity. And please go ahead and comment down below any advice you have for me or others watching, because budgeting is such an essential topic right now, especially with the pandemic going on and some people losing their jobs, some people working less hours or something like that. So please comment down below any tips that you may have for those who are watching. And finally, one tip that I wanted to offer is to stop following accounts that make you spend more money because of their lifestyle. And it's not healthy. And I personally stopped following accounts that would post how lavishly they lived because it was not healthy for my own peace of mind. I knew myself, and I knew that if I saw like a really cute pair of shoes, I was probably gonna buy those shoes. So that's just me being transparent. And I started following accounts that would post stuff that was within my reach and realistic to my lifestyle. And when I say accounts, I am kind of talking about influencers, because it's so easy to see their stories, see them unbox some really cool stuff that they probably got for free, and want to buy those things yourself. So just keep that in mind. I started shopping at places that were more realistic to me, like Home Goods or small businesses, and avoiding places like Crate & Barrel or Designer or Nordstrom, more like expensive brands. I started to be more conscientious of what I was spending. That is it. That is all that I had for you all today. I hope this video was helpful and insightful to you and your budgeting and your lifestyle. And thank you all so much for watching and sticking through this video with me. I know that money is a very sensitive topic for most. And again, my spreadsheet is going to be linked below in the description box. So feel free to download that and use it and add to it, modify it, anything you want. It's a very basic template, so please build on it. And yeah, that's all, and I hope that you all take care, and please comment down below for any videos that you want to see related to finances or anything like that, and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, thank you so much again for watching.